I paid for our apartment, took care of her sick dog, and helped her pass her final exams. Then I found out she was flying to Cancun with her study partner. When I called her, she said, "Don't be that guy. We were never serious." I didn't answer. But when she landed, what she found waiting at the resort entrance made her freeze. My name's Matt. I'm 27 now. This story happened last year, mostly in Charlotte, North Carolina. That's where I live and work. I've been in IT since I was 22. I've always been the responsible type. No arrests. No drama. Never cheated. I've always believed in doing the right thing, even when it's hard. I met Rachel when she was 23. She was still in school at UNC Charlotte, about a year away from finishing her degree in psychology. I met her at this low-key bar one Friday night after work. She had this mix of confidence and nervous energy. She was cute, smart, knew what she wanted, or at least said she did. She talked a lot about helping people. Said she wanted to be a therapist for kids. That really stuck with me. I was raised by a single mom who struggled with depression, so that hit home. We started dating. At first it was amazing. She laughed at my dumb jokes. She brought me coffee at work. She said she loved how grounded I was. I fell hard. Within 6 months, she moved into my one-bedroom apartment near Uptown. Rent was $1,450. I paid it all. She said she'd help with groceries, but after the first month, she stopped. Said money was tight. She worked part-time at a cafe and did an unpaid internship on weekends. I get it, student life is rough. So I didn't complain. I covered everything. Rent. Food. Utilities. Even her gas sometimes. She had an old golden retriever named Murphy. Sweet dog, but he was getting real sick. He limped constantly, and would whimper when he tried to get up. She was crying one night, saying she didn't know what to do. The vet said he needed surgery. I offered to pay for it. She cried and hugged me and said, "You're the best thing that's ever happened to me." I believed her. When finals came around, she was a wreck. Couldn't sleep. Snapping at everything. I helped her study. I printed flashcards, proofread her essays, even looked up case studies for her research project. I was proud of her when she passed. I told everyone my girlfriend was graduating soon, and she couldn't have done it without hard work. Then she changed. Right after graduation, she got cold. She'd sit on the couch with Murphy and barely talk to me. Always tired. Always busy. She started hiding her phone. She turned off notifications. Started going out, with friends more often, but never wanted me to come. One day, I walked in on her laughing on FaceTime with some guy. She slammed the laptop shut and said it was just Brian, a guy from her psych program. Said they were planning a trip, her and some friends, to Cancun to unwind after the semester. I asked, "What friends?" She said, "Don't be like that. I've been stressed all year. I deserve a break." I wanted to trust her. I really did. But I couldn't shake the feeling. That night, while she was showering, I opened her laptop. She didn't even change the password. Murphy 123. Same as always. There it was. Her Southwest email confirmation. 2 tickets. Rachel Harper and Brian Castaneda. 5 days. Moon Palace Resort. King Suite with an ocean view. I sat there staring at the screen, my hands shaking. I didn't say anything that night. Didn't yell. Didn't accuse. I just stared at the ceiling while she slept beside me. The next morning, she told me again it was a girls' trip. I told her I'd drive her to the airport. She paused and said she already had a ride. That was it. I knew she wasn't even trying to hide it anymore. So I started planning. I've got a cousin named Nate. We grew up like brothers. He did 2 tours in Afghanistan, and now runs security for a private firm out in Texas. He's rough around the edges but loyal to a fault. I called him and said, "I need a favor." Quiet and fast. He didn't even ask what it was about. He just said, "Where to?" I booked my own ticket to Cancun through a different airline. I left 4 hours after she did, landed just a couple hours behind her. Nate had already flown down ahead of time. He scoped out the resort, met a guy who worked security there, and had a camera set up ready. Before I left Charlotte, I took care of a few things. First, I boxed up every single thing Rachel owned. Clothes, shoes, toiletries, all of it. I drove it to a storage unit and paid for 1 month upfront. Then I called the landlord and told him I'd be the only one living there from now on. Changed the locks. Got new keys. Next, I canceled her phone line. She was on my Verizon family plan. I also removed her from the car insurance. Cut off the health insurance I'd been paying for under my job benefits. Closed our joint checking account. It only had a few $100, but it was the message that mattered. She was about to find out what it felt like to be disposable. When I got to Cancun, Nate handed me a burner phone. He already had pictures of her and Brian sipping drinks by the pool. Rachel was wearing the bikini I bought her last Valentine's Day. "She's shacked up in the suite already," Nate said. "They're all over each other. No shame." I told him I wanted to confront her when she least expected it. He nodded and made some calls. Next morning, I stood just outside the resort entrance with 2 hotel staff members and a manager. Nate was on the balcony filming everything. At 11:15 a.m., I saw a golf cart pulling up. Rachel was laughing. Brian had his hand on her leg. Then she saw me. Her face went pale. She stood up in the cart like she'd seen a ghost. Her mouth opened, but no words came out. I stepped forward. "Hope the flight was smooth," I said. She tried to say something, but I kept going. "I canceled the card that paid for your room. I canceled your phone, your health insurance, and the apartment. You're not coming back to that place. You're not welcome there anymore." She turned to the hotel manager, panicking. "Wait, this is a mistake." The manager cut her off. "Miss Harper, the card on file is no longer valid. I'm afraid your reservation is no longer active. You'll need to vacate the room immediately." Brian tried to step in. "You can't do this to her." I stared him down. She lied. "I paid for everything. Let her learn how to stand on her own." Security escorted them to the front desk. Rachel begged the manager to give her time to figure something out. But they weren't listening. Cancun resorts don't play when you mess with payment. That was the beginning. I haven't even told you the best part yet. Rachel didn't cry in front of the resort. Not yet. But her face was stiff, like she was trying to hold it all in. She kept glancing at the camera Nate was holding. I think she realized then that this wasn't just about a cancelled room. I wanted her to feel what I felt, confused, embarrassed, powerless. Security didn't manhandle them, but they were firm. One guy picked up the phone and called them a taxi. Brian looked like he was about to throw a tantrum, but no one cared. The resort had other guests to deal with. I turned and walked away. Nate caught up with me a few minutes later. "You sure that's all you want to do?" he asked. "Because we could really, no," I said. "We're not touching them. I've got something better planned." And I did. Rachel still had one thing left, Murphy. Her dog. He was at a friend's place back in Charlotte. A girl named Lacey who used to study with her. I had Lacey's number, and Murphy was technically still mine on the vet paperwork since I paid for everything. I called Lacey and explained what Rachel had done. Lacey was quiet for a second. Then she said, "That's wow. I had no idea she was like that. Murphy's been here for 3 days. I thought she was on a work trip." I told her Rachel lied. I told her the full story. Lacey didn't even hesitate. "Come get him," she said. "He deserves better." By the time Rachel and Brian found another place to stay in Cancun, some budget Airbnb, I had already picked up Murphy. I brought him home to the apartment. I bought him a new bed, new food, fresh toys. He wagged his tail when I walked through the door like nothing had ever happened. Like loyalty still meant something to someone. Rachel tried to contact me once she figured out her phone was cut. She messaged me on Instagram from a new burner account. The message popped up. "What the hell is wrong with you? You're acting crazy." I never agreed to any of this. I didn't respond. Instead, I posted a photo of Murphy lying on his new bed with the caption, "The only one who stayed loyal." That post got over 400 likes. Word started spreading among her old college friends, even coworkers at the cafe. People were asking questions. People were messaging me. Apparently, she had been telling everyone that we were just roommates. Near the end, that I was emotionally distant, and she was doing her own thing. Some even believed her. But now they saw the receipts. The dog. The vacation. The lies. Then I dropped the real bomb. A few months back, I helped Rachel set up her job hunt. She used my laptop to build her resume. The resume had my phone number on it, since she didn't have a personal voicemail, and I helped write her cover letters. Well, turns out one of the jobs she really wanted was at a private youth counseling center in Charlotte. She had already gone through 2 rounds of interviews. They were set to offer her the job pending background and reference checks. Guess who they called? Me. I didn't lie. I didn't slander. I told them the truth. She's intelligent. Capable. But she lies easily and often. She's dishonest with money and boundaries. I wouldn't trust her around vulnerable people. They thanked me and hung up. She didn't get the job. A week later, she came back to Charlotte. I knew the exact moment she landed because she tried to use her Uber account, which had been linked to my card. I got the notification. Denied. Then she messaged me again. From a second new account. "Okay. You made your point. Can we at least talk? I need to get my stuff." "I need Murphy." I replied. "Your stuff's in storage. Unit 218 at Uptown Self-Storage. 1 month paid. After that, not my problem," she said. "You can't keep my dog. That's kidnapping." I replied with a photo of the vet paperwork. My name. My signature. My address. She went quiet for a while. But this wasn't over. Brian tried to contact me next. That shocked me. He sent a message to my work email. Probably found it through LinkedIn or one of Rachel's old docs. Subject: Man to man. The email said, "Look, I didn't know you two were serious. Rachel told me you were just a friend she was living with. I had no idea you were paying for everything. I never would have gone along with it if I knew. I'm sorry. I really am. Please don't ruin her life over this. She's not a bad person." I didn't respond. Instead, I screenshotted it and sent it to Rachel. A few hours later, she messaged me again. "Why are you dragging this out?" I said we were never serious. "You're making it worse for everyone." That's when I lost it. I replied, "I gave you a home. I gave you time, money, care. I stayed up late helping you pass school. I paid for your damn dog to walk again. You used me. Then you lied and left like I was nothing. Don't pretend we weren't serious. You slept in my bed for a year." No response after that. But she still had one last surprise waiting. 2 weeks went by. I thought that was it. I thought she'd go quiet, maybe disappear into some new guy's life, maybe tell herself I was just a phase she grew out of. But Rachel doesn't like losing. Especially not when people are watching. That's when the smear campaign started. It began with vague posts on her social media. Stuff like, "Crazy how people pretend to be nice until you stop doing what they want. Some men really can't handle rejection. Gaslighting is real. I just thank God I got away." Then her followers started messaging me, people I barely knew from her school, her old job, even mutual friends we had during our relationship. One girl messaged me and said, Hey, not trying to take sides, but Rachel says you hacked her accounts and threatened her. Is that true? I nearly laughed. No, I didn't hack anything. I never even changed her passwords. I didn't need to. She abandoned her accounts when she realized most of her stuff was tied to my credit cards. She didn't want to be reminded of how much I did for her. But that wasn't enough for her. She told people I was controlling. Said I trapped her financially. Even claimed I'd monitored her location, which I never did. She was trying to flip the story, turn herself into the victim. The worst part? Some people believed her. Then came the cops. I got a knock on my door around 6:30 p.m. on a Tuesday. It was 2 officers, both calm, professional. Said they had received a report that I'd stolen a pet and had possibly violated a domestic agreement. I invited them in. Showed them the vet bills, adoption paperwork, my bank statements, even emails from the vet where Rachel listed me as the primary contact. They took it all down and left. Nothing came of it. But I was pissed. She tried to weaponize the law against me because I embarrassed her. She wasn't done taking from me, even after I had nothing left to give. That's when I realized something. Rachel had one last card to play, and I was going to flip it first. Back when I helped Rachel with her job applications, I had access to her email for weeks. She didn't even log out most of the time. I never looked through her stuff back then because I trusted her. Now I had a reason. I didn't hack anything. I didn't change passwords. But I remembered one detail. She had once emailed herself an entire copy of her final thesis paper from a school computer. I searched for it. I found it in her Gmail drafts. It wasn't hers. She'd bought it from a ghostwriting service. I double-checked. Plugged the whole thing into plagiarism software. 76% match with a public academic paper from 2014. She barely even rewrote it. This was the same paper she used to pass her last class. The same one she used to get that near job at the counseling center. And the same degree she was now using to apply for therapist licenses in North Carolina and South Carolina. I printed everything. Every receipt. Every match. I didn't know who I'd send it to yet, but I held on to it. I didn't want to destroy her future out of spite. But I needed her to understand. If she pushed me again, I'd end everything she worked for. Then she did it. I came home one night and my apartment door was unlocked. Nothing was missing, but Murphy was shaking and his water bowl was tipped over. I checked the security camera I installed above the door a few weeks back. Clear as day, Rachel, using a key I didn't know she still had. She walked in, stood in the living room for a few minutes, looked around, then left. I sent her the footage. Step foot in my place again, and I'm filing a restraining order. You're not welcome here. Don't come near my dog. Don't come near me. She didn't reply. Instead, I got an email 3 days later. It was from her lawyer. The email came on a Friday morning. Subject: Notice of legal representation. Rachel Harper. The message was short and formal. Her lawyer claimed I was illegally holding Rachel's emotional support animal, had interfered with her personal property, and had harassed her digitally and socially. They threatened to sue if I didn't return Murphy and her personal items within 5 business days. I sat at my kitchen table, just staring at the screen. This woman had lied to me, used me, cheated on me, and tried to trash my name, and now she wanted to drag me into court? No. I wasn't playing defense anymore. I didn't reply to the lawyer. Not yet. Instead, I went straight to work. First, I called the vet and asked for a full record of Murphy's treatment. They emailed me a PDF with everything. The bills, the consent forms, and a copy of the ownership transfer, signed by Rachel herself, naming me as the legal owner. It was all there. Then I pulled out the last card I'd been holding, the plagiarized thesis. I made 2 packets. Each one had A cover letter explaining who I was and my connection to Rachel, a copy of her thesis, a side-by-side comparison with the original paper, a plagiarism report, screenshots of the email draft where she pasted it, and details about the school's honor code violation policy. I mailed one packet to UNC Charlotte's Academic Integrity Office. The other went to the North Carolina Board of Licensed Clinical Mental Health Counselors. Then I filed a police report about her breaking into my apartment. I gave them the footage. I gave them the timeline. And I filed for a restraining order. 3 days later, Rachel's lawyer emailed again. Given new information provided by our client and third parties, we are withdrawing any legal action. Ms. Harper will not pursue this matter further. They didn't say why. But I knew. It took about a month for the first shoe to drop. Rachel got a letter from the university. They were opening a formal investigation into academic fraud. A week later, I heard through a mutual friend that her degree had been put on hold pending review. She lost her job offer in South Carolina. Then the second hit came. The licensing board flagged her application. Someone at the board reached out to her last internship site, the one where she was supposed to be helping kids. They found out she had lied about her references. Her supervisor never wrote that glowing letter she submitted. Her license application was rejected. And it didn't stop there. The story leaked, first in whispers around her old campus, then through social media. I didn't spread it, but people talked. Everyone who saw her on that Cancun trip started putting the pieces together. The girl who used her boyfriend to pay for her life, who pretended to be self-made while riding someone else's back, was exposed. She deleted her Instagram, her Facebook. Even her LinkedIn vanished. I thought that was the end of it. But karma wasn't done with her yet. 2 months after all this, I was walking Murphy outside my new apartment. I'd moved across town, quiet neighborhood, more space. As we rounded the corner, I saw someone sitting on the curb near the bus stop. It was Rachel. She looked nothing like she did months ago. No makeup. Hair messy. Hoodie pulled over her head even though it was 85 degrees. A suitcase next to her. She saw me and froze. Murphy saw her too and growled, low, deep. I didn't say anything at first. She looked down and said, "You ruined my life." I walked closer, calm. "No," I said. "You did that. I just stopped covering for you." She wiped her face. Her hands were shaking. "I made mistakes. But you didn't have to destroy me." I crouched down and looked her in the eyes. "You told me we were never serious. That I shouldn't be that guy. Remember? Well, I became that guy. Because you made me." She didn't reply. I stood up, whistled for Murphy, and walked away. She didn't follow. 3 weeks later, I got a letter in the mail. It was from the university. They thanked me for the documentation. Said the matter had been reviewed and resolved. Student permanently expelled due to academic misconduct. Degree revoked. I framed that letter. I don't tell this story for revenge. I tell it because people like Rachel think they can play with someone's heart and get away with it. They think good people won't fight back. But sometimes the quiet guy who pays the bills, who picks up your dog's meds, who helps you pass your classes, he's also the one who holds the receipts. And when you lie to him long enough, he cashes them in.